You know, last year, there was a lot of games I was excited for in the Big 25. We had Ghosts of Yotei, of course, Amanda 3, but the game I was by far the most excited for in 2025 was Power Wash Simulator 2. Oh yeah, this is game of the year right here. But somehow, one of the best games to come out of last year was a game that I had never even heard of until it came out. Dispatch. Dispatch is a decision-based superhero story game created by the mostly unknown Ad Hoc Studios. We play as a washed-up former hero, Mecha-Man, as he pursues a new desk job at the superhero Dispatch Network, overseeing a team of reformed villains turned heroes.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
It became an overnight sensation, selling over 1 million copies in just 10 days. And this game had scholars around the world debating whether or not you should romance Invisigal or Blonde Blazer.
They're just phenomenal to watch. And people try and make comparisons of who's better, etc. Just enjoy them, man.
Hey, real talk though, what top 5 are they smoking on? My top 5 is Malevola.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
One of the things that really intrigued me about the game though was the lore. Because this game has so much interesting lore and backstory hidden behind deluxe edition comics, which not everyone has access to. Things like Shroud's origin story and the death of Mecha-Man is kind of glossed over in the main game, despite being a huge part of the story, which is why I have compiled all of the lore into one video. So this is the complete Dispatch timeline, all of the hidden lore and backstory combined into one complete and easy to follow timeline, all the way from Mecha-Man Prime to Mecha-Man Blue. However, some parts of the story are proven facts, while others are kind of theories that I've made based on very strong evidence that fill in the gaps and make the story a bit more cohesive. So just like my last complete lore video, thanks for the support on that by the way, holy shit, I'm gonna be adopting the same system. There's gonna be an indicator in the top right of the screen. If it's red, it's proven fact based on the game's lore, and blue means that I'm theorizing based on very strong evidence. Red equals fact, blue equals theory. This video is going to be mostly red as the lore is pretty straightforward, at least compared to something like Amanda, but I still wanted to make sure I separated my theories from the official lore when they do come up. All right, let's get into it. Our story begins sometime in the 1970s with a young man named Robert Robertson, but he went by Bobby. Bobby lives in a world full of Golden Age superheroes and villains with superpowers causing chaos all throughout his home city of Los Angeles. Powers in this universe are, for the most part, something you're born with. They can also come from other places like amulets or freak accidents, but for the most part, you either have powers or you don't. It's not like The Boys where they're just pumping babies full of a secret government compound. And unfortunately, our guy Bobby was not one of these lucky few. What he actually had was the greatest superpower of them all. Money. Bands. Bands on bands on bands on bands on bands on bands on bands. Bobby was a stupidly rich man, and he decided to spend some of his massive fortune on a giant robotic mech suit. He would use this suit to fight crime in the city of Torrance, Los Angeles, which is a real city, by the way. So shout out to anyone watching this video in Torrance. Under the alias Mecha-Man, the first superhero without powers and the first Mecha-Man in a long family line. He would later become known as Mecha-Man Prime. Pretty much nothing is known about Mecha-Man Prime, although he does have a self-proclaimed arch nemesis named Brain Teaser, who's basically just Timu Riddler. And he had a son named Robert Robertson II. Yeah, not the most creative guy in the world. Mecha-Man Prime had a nearly 20-year run before the streets eventually caught up with him, and he ended up dying in the late 80s, saving a little girl in the Mecha-Man suit in a tragic accident.
How do I say goodbye?
His son, Robert Robertson II, who went by Robbie, took up the mantle as Mecha-Man, donning the suit and becoming known as Mecha-Man Astral. In the 1990s, the top superheroes around Southern California joined together to form a team, the Brave Brigade. Dude, I'm sorry, if I was a supervillain, I would not be intimidated by the Brave Brigade, bro. Like, that name just has no aura. Together, the Brave Brigade protected Southern California and ushered in a new era of peace for society. During this time, Robbie met a girl and had his firstborn son. And keeping the family tradition of stupid-ass names, he named his son Robert Robertson III. The Brave Brigade. The Brave Brigade. Dude, I hate saying this name, bro. This is so annoying. The Brave Brigade. The Brave Brigade consisted of course, Mecha-Man Astral, a young speedster named Trackstar, his real name was Chase, and a superhero named Vitalia, who had healing powers. These three are the only ones that matter for the story, but there were other heroes part of the Brave Brigade as well. We don't even know their names though. Irrelevant. And then there was this guy named Elliot, or Eli for short. Elliot was a genius inventor with an intelligence-enhancing head implant, recruited to help develop state-of-the-art tech for the Brave Brigade. But Eli wasn't officially part of the team, at least not yet. And this was something that he expressed great contempt for. Together, Robert and Elliot made a bunch of improvements to the Mecha-Man suit, including new weapons and better armor. But now they had a problem. The suit required massive amounts of energy to run, and no power source could keep up with the mech's demands. So Eli invented a brand new revolutionary renewable energy source, known as the Astral Pulse. A small, compact, lightweight vial that could keep up with the demanding power supply the Mecha-Man suit required. Now, Elliot gave the Astral Pulse to Mecha-Man, but he wanted something in exchange. He wanted to be an official member of the Brave Brigade. But Eli was just the tech guy. Mecha-Man didn't really think that he would be a good fit for, a high-level superhero team. I mean, anyone with eyes can see that. But he believed that he deserved to be on the team, especially with his massive contributions to the Mecha-Man suit and the Astral Pulse. So in order to please Eli, Mecha-Man told him that he would get the team together to hold a vote to let him into the Brave Brigade, and Eli was hyped. But Robbie never had any intentions to let him in. But he told Eli that he would talk it over with the team and let him know. So Eli patiently waited. Now, around this time, a copyright was registered for a new company called SDN, the Superhero Dispatch Network. SDN was a brand new company that had the idea to enlist superheroes as first responders across the city. Dispatchers would run small teams of heroes managing requests uploaded by local civilians during the day and night for a monthly subscription. That's right, you too can keep your family safe from villainy. At a price, of course. At this time, they were just a small startup and didn't have any hope of recruiting huge heroes like Mecha-Man Astral or Trackstar. Time to clock in, baby. What's up, guys? This is Marzilla reporting for Dispatch.
No way, we got the Amanda guy dispatching for us?
Guess this shitty little YouTube channel isn't paying the bills. Flambe, I'm not doing it with you today. I just want to get in my shift and get out, all right?
Yeah, leave him alone, Flambe. Everybody knows that his video's trash anyway.
No wonder he needs a second job. If he's so bad at his first one.
You know what? If you got a problem with me, Gollum, then we could step outside. Just saying, I don't play that shit.
Man, you lying.
Nah, I ain't lying. If you want to square up, then square up, twin.
All right, what's up then?
Nah, what's up? What's up with you? Nah, tell me what's up. Nah, let me know, because if you want to talk all that good shit, let me know, son. These hands are rated M for Marzilla, okay?
All right, man, let's do it. If you want to talk all that shit, I can pull up on you right now.
Nah, listen, I'm dispatching you to my office right now.
Man,
your assignment is to run them. So a few years go by, and the year is now 1999, and Elliot still hasn't been let onto the team. And this is when the events of the Get Up comic takes place. Robbie hosts a cookout at his house and invites the entire Brave Brigade, which Elliot attends. Elliot talks to each one of the Brave Brigade members and they all vote to let him in. Even Trackstar wants to give him a shot as he feels the team could benefit from his technical expertise. And he's got everyone's vote, except for one person.
It's definitely a no for me, dog. The voice is just not there.
Mecha-Man Astral. When Eli confronts Robbie about this, he writes him off. Eli demands that they take a vote there at the cookout, since the entire team is there, to which Robbie says,
I caught my cousin in a broom closet once, butt naked, with his dick in a vacuum hose. I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I told him. That's not how it works.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, Robert's dad was kind of a dick. This caused Chase to spit out his beer from laughter onto Elliot's head implant, which made it short circuit. Elliot, utterly humiliated and angry, stormed away. Robbie and Chase crack a joke about the situation and move on like nothing happened. But Elliot simply could not let that slide. So he sneaks into Robbie's home, the same place where his young son, Robert, and the Mecha-Man suit are kept. And while no one is watching, Elliot hacks into the Mecha-Man armor and rewires its automatic targeting system, setting it to lock onto Robert. Out in the backyard, Robbie suddenly hears the mech powering up, and in that split second, he realizes what's happening.
Robert!
Chase uses his super speed to rush into the house and grab Robert before the suit has a chance to slime him. Barely making it, Chase bursts through the door and grabs Robert, narrowly saving his life. One of the bullet clips Robert's ears, which is how he ends up with that missing chunk of his ear that we see in the actual game, as well as the dislocated thumb that he shows off in the bar scene. Robbie rushes in and deactivates the Mecha-Man armor before it has the chance to finish the job, and he doesn't even apologize. All he says is,
"Get up."
But Robbie and Chase never found out that this was Eli's doing. They just thought it was some kind of freak accident. But this was no accident. This was an act of pure malice and revenge. And this is the first sign we see of Elliot's true dark side. It's possible that Eli did this to emotionally ruin Robbie in the hopes that the death of his son would make him leave the team and potentially open up a spot for him. Following this terrifying event, Robbie would have Chase babysit Robert to make sure he was safe while he was away fighting crime. And after this fateful day, many more years go by. And over the course of nearly a decade, they would cast a vote to let Eli into the Brave Brigade, and then Robbie would suspend the vote. Over and over and over again. This cycle repeated 4 consecutive times, and Eli was starting to get heated. He was tired of being just the lame tech guy. He wanted more. He wanted to be more. And all of this boiled over on one fateful day in 2008, and this day would go down in history as the death of Mecha-Man Astral. And this is also where the comic book of the same name takes place. Robbie Robertson was working on the Mecha-Man Astral suit when Elliot Connor stormed into his lab, absolutely furious. Why is he furious? Because Robbie canceled the vote to let him onto the team for the 5th time, once again destroying his opportunity to ever be a member of the Brave Brigade. Bro was literally moving like those dudes who get rejected from a frat 4 times in a row and still try to rush again. Like, bro, they do not want you. Just move on with your life at that point. But Eli's had it. He demands the Astral Pulse back and challenges Robbie to a fight in the Mecha-Man suit, deeming that if he is the winner, he is entitled to join the team. Now at this point, Elliot made a bunch of upgrades to himself and basically became this universe's version of Cyborg and was determined to fight Mecha-Man to prove his worth.
Now, get in the suit.
To which Robbie says, "The fuck I need the suit for?" This might be one of the coldest lines in all of fiction. I ain't even gonna hold you. Robbie then proceeds to beat the absolute brakes off of Elliot, giving him that 1-2 mink, 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 beating him so bad to the point that Trackstar literally had to stop him, embarrassing and emasculating Elliot once again. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie with you, bro. Mecha-Man straight up sunned this guy. And Elliot was not about to let that slide. They took him to the med bay and Vitalia used her healing powers on him. But before she could finish up, Elliot disappeared. He was gone from his hospital bed. Later in the day, Robbie and Trackstar are talking in the break room when Eli interrupts.
Robbie.
Trackstar tries to save Robbie, but he's just not fast enough. The bullet pierces his heart, and just like that, that's a wrap on Mecha-Man 2. But bro was kind of asking for it. Like, I can't feel too bad for him. Also, fun fact, this comic is where Shroud gets his name from, as Robbie uses the word when he throws the tarp over his face. This comic is also a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier in the video about how the game will lie to you about some of the lore. The game claims that Elliot was a former member of the Brave Brigade,
when Shroud, a former Brave Brigade member, turned villain.
But when you dive deep into the lore, this is actually not the case. I mean, he never was part of the team. That was his whole thing. He wanted to be on the team, but Mecha-Man stopped him. And that's not the only thing that the game lies to you about, but we'll get to that stuff later. Following this tragic event, the Brave Brigade split up. Elliot is locked away in prison for 15 years for the murder of Robbie Robertson. Robbie's son, Robert, isolates himself and loses touch with Chase. This tragic event affected Robert very deeply. Well, I mean, that was until that life insurance money came in.
Tell him to bring me my money.
Using the money, Robert, the son of Robbie and Bobby before him, becomes the 3rd Mecha-Man. Mecha-Man Blue! Robert does his best throughout the years to protect the city of Torrance to honor his father, making enemies with several villains along the way, including a Burning Man named Flambe, whom he puts in prison after a fight they have in a shopping complex. And this will definitely not come back to bite him in the future. Now, between the early 2000s to the present, SDN has been making large moves. Their business expands and they open up branches across the world, including one in Torrance. Heroes and ordinary people could find work at SDN, either dispatching or as heroes fighting on the ground. The 2 most notable heroes at SDN are Blonde Blazer and Phenomaman. Phenomaman is a humanoid alien from the planet Urgot 52 DC, who's essentially just Superman or Omni-Man if they were a complete fucking idiot.
When I first arrived on Earth, the ladies at the Nordstrom rack I worked at called me Dumpy due to my large posterior.
And Blonde Blazer is a flying light-based hero with a special amulet that grants her powers. And similar to Phenomenon, she's got a huge heart. These two represent the golden era of classic cheesy superheroes and set the standard for everyone else at SDN. In an effort to reduce crime and encourage reform in former supervillains, SDN has started a new program called the Phoenix Program. The Phoenix Program symbolizes redemption, and the program is designed specifically for former down-on-their-luck supervillains looking for work as dispatchers. Now fast forward about 10 years, and we arrive at the year 2023. SDN puts out a bunch of flyers for the Phoenix Program, and one of these flyers lands in the hands of a half-demon, half-woman named Malevola. I already know what you're thinking, and before you ask, the answer is yes. Malevola passes on the flyer to her partner in crime, Sonar, a half-man, half-bat previously imprisoned for tax fraud, of all things, voiced by none other than Moist Critical.
You're gonna eat those
and they decide to join the Phoenix Program's Z team. Not before doing a huge bender and snorting some blow, of course. Another person recruited to the program is a former mob assassin, Coop. Coop is a French word that means to cut, which is ironic foreshadowing for later in this video. But anyway, Coop was the perfect assassin. Using her ability of flight and deadly knives, she maintained an almost perfect assassination record of 68-1. Now, who was that one that she missed on her record? Well, that was none other than the Irish legend himself, Jacksepticeye, aka Punch Up.
Mother ape ass!
That's not a joke, by the way. Jacksepticeye actually voices this character.
Top of the morning!
Don't even try it.
Punch Up was a carnival strongman that made a deal with a sorceress to give him the strength of 10 men. While his muscles grew, his body shrunk, giving him the strength of 10 men, but half the size of one. So in other words, he was Irish. Realizing his career as a carnival strongman was ruined, Punch Up became depressed, turning to alcohol and illegal fighting rings. During this time, Punch Up became enemies with the mob and became a target for assassination by Coop, leading into the events of... Wait, actually, what the fuck is this comic called?
Deux. That's twice the same pronunciation because D-E-U-X is just pronounced like D-E, deux. Pas de deux, you could say it in English. Pas de deux.
Pas de deux. Pas de deux.
That's gotta be racist.
I think this means dance for two in French, if I'm not mistaken. But when Coop tries to stab Punch Up, her knife shatters against his skin, and Punch Up chokes her and pins her against the wall. But let's just say, she's kinda into that. The two quickly fall for each other, and while she didn't maintain a perfect record, if you add together her record, it adds up to what they did in their apartment that night. The two would go on to date for a while, but eventually they do break up. But both of these lovebirds would go on to join the Phoenix Program. In addition to Gollum, a sentient construct of mud and dirt, Flambe, Mecha-Man's former rival, and an underground pop star, Prism. And fun fact, her voice actor is a real music artist called Squad. They use one of her songs in the bar fight scene, and this shit slaps. And this band of heroes would become known as the Z Team. However, the Z Team can't really seem to hold down a dispatcher. The dispatcher being the guy in the chair that manages the team.
A tornado flew around my room before you came, excuse the messy maid.
Guys, if you're gonna play music, can you please mute your mic? Like, we got serious business going on here.
Hold up, this is my favorite part right here. Or do you not think so far ahead? Cause I've been thinking.
Yo, Gollum, your singing is trash. Can you shut the fuck up?
What you say, bitch?
You are not Frank Ocean, my nigga. Hop off the mic. You sound like Batman if he was being waterboarded.
Think I give a fuck, bitch? That's why your daddy left.
Guys, can we please clear the comms for only dispatch related?
Oh, no, motherfucker. You wanna bring my daddy into it? Oh, now it's real.
Oh, this is gonna be good. Guys, please.
At least I got a daddy, which means I came out of vagina. I ain't come out someone's ass, you chocolate dookie fuck.
Oh, shit.
You're literally just a walking piece of sentient dookie. You got no family, no friends, and no bitches.
Okay, most of that is correct, but who the fuck told you I got no bitches? I got hella bitches. I got Flambe's mom doing tricks on it as we speak.
Excuse me?
Hey, slow down, baby. Hey, Flambe, you want a brother, my nigga?
Fuck you, God. You know what? I quit, y'all. These former villains are just far too much to handle for the average person. And they go through dispatchers in droves, and Blonde Blazer rushes to find a suitable replacement. Around the same time, Elliot Connors escapes from prison and becomes the supervillain known as Shroud. He forms a criminal organization called the Red Ring, where he uses his genius tech skills to outfit criminals with dangerous weapons and augments. And one of these criminal recruits is Invisigal, a woman who can stay invisible as long as she can hold her breath. The racially ambiguous baddie herself.
Let me tell you something. I don't know what they call that stuff, but that little like caramel, man, You know, stop playing. I mean, if they give me one right now, tear it up live.
Technically, her name at this point in the timeline was Invisibitch, but I'm not gonna say that every time. But she has asthma, which makes it difficult for her to take full advantage of her powers. So Shroud outfits her with a lung implant that helps increase her breath capacity. And this is where the story of the actual game begins. All right, that was a lot of lore that I just threw at you, but we still got a lot to go. So let's take a quick break. I'm just gonna run through some quick community announcements I have. Y'all can grab some snacks, drink some water, because I know y'all don't be drinking enough water, all right? I'm looking at you, Samantha. Yeah. First things first, I have a really important announcement, which is that we finally have a Discord channel.
Yes! Hell yeah!
I've actually been working on this with a member of the community named Mari. I don't know a whole lot about Discord, so he kind of put the whole thing together. Thank you so much, dog. I really appreciate you. Everybody clap up to Brother Mari real quick. A lot of you guys have been asking for this, and I'm super excited to finally bring it to you. If you want to interact with other members of the community more directly, and even interact with me directly, then this is the best way to do it. If you want to join, the link is right here. I'm also going to put a link in the description of the video. The first 100 people that join will get a very special day one title, so don't snooze. And my second announcement is that I finally have a Patreon. No pressure to join whatsoever. Watching the main channel videos is more than enough support. But if you do really enjoy my content and want to support me directly, this is a great way. Plus, you get access to these exclusive perks. Early access to content, your name at the end of every video, sneak peeks at upcoming content, ad-free and uncensored versions of my main channel videos, and whatever else I feel like sharing. Again, no pressure to join. This is for those who want it. So if you're interested, the link is in my YouTube bio. And last but not least, if you do go on to enjoy the rest of the video, please consider subscribing. If I hit 100K by the end of the year, I'll adopt a sheep. In my last complete lore videos, I let you guys decide what I would do for 100K, and that's what y'all decided on. So now I'm gonna go in detail on what happens in the game and how that relates to the lore. And I'm also gonna walk you guys through the decisions that I made on my playthrough, because I just think that would be fun. I did play the game twice, and I tried different pathways each time, but I found the game mostly stays the same no matter what you pick. The only thing that changes most of the time are just a couple lines of dialogue. The only major difference is, of course, whether or not you romance Blonde Blazer or Invisigal. I'm also not going to bother with the blue and red indicator system, as pretty much everything moving forward is proven fact. So regardless, this is how the playthrough went. I booted up the game and configured all of my settings and found the game actually has an auto censor option. I decided to leave this off as I thought this was referring to blood and gore, which I don't really care about. I mean, I've played horror games. I'm pretty used to it at this point. Oh my God, he's got a freaking chainsaw. Wow. But I was so wrong. This setting was about something else. So the year is 2023, and our boy Mecha-Man Blue, aka Robert Robertson III, has managed to nail down one of Shroud's goons. Robert is determined to find the man that killed his father. We hold him over the edge of our apartment complex and threaten him to give us the location of Shroud's secret base, which is at an abandoned steel mill. We are then presented with our first choice of the game. We can either drop him or let him live.
Goodbye, my nigga. Back to the lobby.
Now, even though bro was cracking jokes about my pops, I did think he was kind of funny, so I decided to take the good route and spare him. However, I immediately regretted this decision because when I went to infiltrate Shroud's secret base, this same exact dude showed up again, and it turns out he's actually a supervillain named Toxic. But even if you do drop him, nothing changes because he lands on a mattress, so he doesn't actually die either way. This is kind of what I mean when I say that the choices don't matter as much as you think in this game. But anyway, I was then shown why I should have left the auto censor option on.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on.
Yeah, this dude's Johnson was just out in the wild. At this point, I really had no idea what kind of game I just downloaded. Yeah, just gonna go ahead and put that back on. Because we let Toxic live, he was able to warn Shroud about the incoming attack, giving him time to prepare. Shroud quickly rallies a group of supervillains to ambush Robert, including Invisigal. Invisigal is still indebted to the Red Ring because of the chest implant that Shroud gave her, but he offers her a way out. If she places a bomb on the Mecha-Man armor, her debt will be wiped clean. So Toxic and all of Shroud's goons catch Robert off guard and pin him to the ground. And unbeknownst to Robert, Invisigal places a bomb on the back of his suit. We barely make it out of the steel mill alive, but the bomb destroys the Mecha-Man suit and the Astral Pulse is lost. Following this event, Robert enters a coma for months. And interestingly enough, Shroud doesn't come after him during this time, even though he would have been easy money. He likely kept him alive so he can find out where the Astral Pulse is. Fortunately, Robert does wake up eventually, but due to the medical bills, his inheritance and life insurance money has now completely dried up. And bro is now broker than me, which means that he can no longer afford to be Mecha-Man. Right after the bomb goes off, Invisigal quits the Red Ring. Shroud wasn't super pleased about this, so he shuts off her lung capacity augment the following day. Out of options, Invisigal decides to enroll in the SDN Phoenix program. Soon after, the city of Torrance holds a press conference to address the future of Mecha-Man. And one of the reporters starts getting on my ass for literally no reason.
So, Shroud kills your father, goes to jail 15 years, breaks out, and immediately dupes you into a trap where he destroys the Mecha-Man suit and puts you in a coma for months.
I didn't hear a question in there.
Most heroes avenge their family. You did the opposite. You killed their legacy. How disappointed would your dad be if he were here right now?
Can y'all get the fuck off my dick? Like, the Mecha-Men have been out here for generations protecting the city and saving lives, taking dubs after dubs. And this reporter has the audacity to disrespect our entire family's legacy because we took one L. Now, as much as I wanted to give this guy the smoke, this reporter was obviously just rage baiting, and I was not about to fall for that. So I simply answered the question and left. A few hours later, we catch some street thugs looting the TV we were watching. And unfortunately, Robert just can't let that slide. However, I do not have my suit anymore, which means that I am in fact not him, and promptly get my ass handed to me on a silver platter with a citrus garnish. But luckily for Robert, the super fine shit herself, Blonde Blazer, comes in for the save and claps the thug's falls. She then proceeds to ask us out to drinks.
She want me. She want me.
We go out for drinks and end up running into our old friend Flambe. And he's not too pleased about us beating that ass and putting him into prison all those years ago. So we throw some alcohol in his face and we set his eyebrows on fire, which gets us kicked out the bar. Bro had to come in though. Blazer takes us to a billboard overlooking the Hollywood sign, and it goes down. The vibes are hella romantic and she's low-key giving us the look. She takes off the mask and lifts my chin up, and we are presented with two options. And I ain't gonna lie with y'all, Blonde Blazer's cool and all, but I was low-key saving Robert for Invisigal. Plus, I did not want a lecture from Dr. Umar on the dangers of Snow Bunny mind control, so I didn't kiss her.
Are you sure about that?
And I did it because I like it. Hell, I love it.
Look, I don't know what happened. I just got lost in the moment and you caught me, all right?
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
Immediately after this, Blazer introduces us to the Superhero Dispatch Network and offers us a job. Apparently, Trackstar had recommended us for a job as a dispatcher for the Z-Team, the band of former villain turned heroes. She also tells us that if we take the job, she'll help us repair the Mecha-Man suit. Robert's like, okay, do me a favor, say less, cause I'm in. That Monday, we clock in for our first day at work. We also meet the building's janitor, Waterboy. We help him fix up his tie, and I'm not really sure how to feel about the energy between these two in this scene. I don't know, their faces were just a little close in my opinion. There's also a comic book about Waterboy that takes place right before this, outlining his first day up until getting to work. Nothing really important happens in this comic, so I'm not gonna cover it in too much detail. All we really find out is that Waterboy lives with his grandma, and Flambe hits him with his car, which is pretty funny.
Not really sure why a flying superhero needs a car, but anyways.
Blazer grabs us and pulls us into an empty conference room. She then tells us to
take your clothes off.
Oh, say less.
Here. I remembered you being bigger. I was a little drunk.
Not gonna lie, if that was me, I'd probably have to air out the whole building. And it turns out Invisigal was spying on us the whole time. She low-key a freak for that, not gonna lie.
Washed up dad bod superhero with no superpowers. Can't wait.
I'm sorry, but how the fuck is this a dad bod? Me and Robert low-key got the same build, so I took that personally. In the bathroom, we meet a guy named Royd. Royd is the tech guy at SDN who takes apart pieces of tech they get from captured villains and repurposes them for the heroes. And he's supposedly gonna help us repair the Mecha-Man armor. Anyway, Blazer takes us to a room in the back to meet our supervisor, Chase, the one and only Trackstar.
She's a runner, she's a track star.
A former member of the Brave Brigade, except Trackstar is Unk now and has the appearance of an 80-year-old man. Why is this? Well, it turns out every time Trackstar uses his powers, he could move 50 times faster, but also aged 50 times faster. And he didn't realize this until it was too late, which is a horrible drawback to his powers considering that they are basically unusable now. And he still remembers us from back in the day when he babysat us, which is low-key a little awkward because Robert's been ghosting him ever since the death of his father. We're then introduced to the Z team. Sonar, Flambe, Invisigal, Coop, Punch-Up, Malevola, Lord have mercy, Gollum, and Prism. We take our seat at our desk and begin our first shift dispatching. Now, everyone on the team has different strengths and weaknesses. For example, Invisigal is quick and naturally good at sneaking around for obvious reasons, and it's our job to send her out on requests that align best with her skill set. For example, sneaking around an art museum to stop some thieves who took over the security sensors. And across the city, there was a bar fight that needed to be split up. So naturally, we sent Punch-Up since he's got experience with fighting and used to scrap in illegal fighting rings. So in other words, he's Irish. But that's generally how the game works. We send out heroes to specific situations to help out the civilians in Torrance. Towards the end of the shift, we sent Invisigal to check out a robbery at a donut shop. And it turns out the perp is actually a red ring thug with some of Shroud's technology. This shop is run by this old dude named Granny, who, fun fact, in the original concept art for the game, had Yeezys for some reason. How is this relevant at all? I don't know, but this is information that you now have, so you're welcome. Things quickly get out of hand, and Invisigal completely ignores our instructions and ends up getting Granny hurt. Back at headquarters, Robert argues with her about what happened.
Feel bad. Good. Fuck you.
Guys, don't worry, I can fix it. We clock out of work for the day, and Blonde Blazer walks us out. And it's here that we find out that Blonde Blazer is cuffed by none other than Phenomeman.
Who is this?
Meaning that they were still together when we kissed.
It's an evil world we live in.
Me personally, I don't really care. I'm trying to holler out Invisigal. But as fate would have it, Blazer and Phenomeman end up breaking up at a sushi restaurant later that night. So go figure. You gotta watch your girl around Robert, bro. He's dangerous. The next morning, Royd helps us move the damaged Mecha-Man armor into the office, and Blazer breaks the news to us about Phenomeman.
Phenomeman and I broke up.
Over Tokyo Dream Sushi?
Sensational.
Blazer then informs the Z team that the lowest performing member on the branch leaderboard at the end of the day is going to be cut, just to let the Z team know that shit ain't sweet and anyone can be cut at any time. Now, currently Invisigal is at the bottom, but she still has a whole day to clutch up and get points, so it ain't over. Also, this scene tells us that Big Chungus is canonically a superhero at SDN, so I guess this game was developed back when that joke was still funny. Now, this was supposed to inspire them to work as a team and give dispatching their full effort, but all this ended up doing was making them sabotage each other in an attempt to lower each other's rankings. Gollum even ended up getting injured because Prism pushed him into a pile of wet concrete. How does the dude literally made of mud get stuck in a fucking pile of mud? This really annoyed the fuck out of me personally because I was already struggling with the game and I was failing calls left and right because these washed up, good for nothing villains couldn't get their shit together. So I pulled the entire Z team into the conference room and gave them a much needed pep talk.
What have I found but a bunch of trifling, shiftless, good for nothing. And I know some of you don't want to hear me say that word. It's the ugliest word in the English language, but that's what I see now.
The speech seemed to work as my second shift went much better. My shift came to an end and it was time to make the call. Invisigal was almost cut, but managed to catch the Red Ring thief from earlier, meaning it was between Coop and Sonar to be cut from the team. This was a bit of a tough decision, but I ultimately decided to cut Coop because Sonar was my only smart hero on the team, whereas Coop didn't really specialize in anything, so she was one of my weaker heroes, which she obviously wasn't too happy about, but that means that Charlie lives to dispatch another day. The next episode starts with Invisigal, and I can't show this scene for obvious reasons, but basically, she has a wet dream about Robert. It wasn't nothing like that. Man, it wasn't nothing like that first time he worked at SDN. Brown hair, dad bod, he went by Mecha-Man. Dispatching Z team, yeah, the boy was dead broke, but the dad bod turned him on like a heat stroke. Hey. Later that day, Invisigal was low-key eyeballing us from across the office. But then Punch-Up puts a corn virus on our computer because he's mad that we cut his girl Coop. Which makes me wonder why they even broke up in the first place, since they clearly ended on good terms. Anyway, Robert and Royd work on the Mecha-Man suit some more, and Invisigal pops into the shop.
Did you just give me an up-down?
We then have this lovely exchange of words.
You ever jerk off in this thing?
You
go low, Vizzy.
I mean, obviously you have, right?
All the time, actually.
Bro.
I like to bust after every big bust, you know, and I was pretty successful, so you can imagine.
Sounds like loads of fun.
What the fuck?
In other news, as if the 405 traffic wasn't already bad enough, Phenomenon is literally blocking the freeway because Blazer broke up with him. Since Robert is a nice guy, he goes out there to talk him down. Phenomenon immediately assumes that there has to be another man involved, because in his mind, that is the only possible reason that Blazer would end things with him. And that leads to another choice. We can either lie to him, or we can admit that we kissed Blazer. Now, even though this decision was at direct odds with my immediate safety, I was just too curious and I wanted to see what would happen, so I told him the truth.
Look, Phenomenon, I'm only telling you this because I don't want you hearing it from someone else. I kissed Blazer.
No!
I now believe that you had nothing to do with our breakup.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. I go to the bathroom to clean myself up and Invisigal pulls up on us. And she proceeds to tell us about her wet dream that she had the night before, which is bold to say the least. After that, we start our 4th shift. And Coop's absence was immediately felt. I had 3 fails and 1 missed call. It was a rough shift, I ain't even gonna lie with you. I think Blazer could see that I was struggling because she offered to add another member to the Z team. And my options were Waterboy and Phenomenon.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
Now, I thought about this for a while. I actually considered picking Waterboy for a minute just because I love a good underdog story. And I'm sorry, I wanted to give him a chance. I really did, but just...
This nigga is trash.
I was already really struggling with dispatching, so unfortunately I had to go with Phenomenon because even though he's a complete dumbass, he's still overpowered. I mean, he's Superman at the end of the day.
I don't know what went into that process. I met the criteria to be selected, but I wasn't.
Now, I thought this would be a game changer, but it turns out Phenomenon will get depressed every single time you fail a call, which means he actually wasn't that helpful at all because he was too busy moping around and watching Jerry Maguire to go out and fight crime. So after another horrific shift, we get a ping on Invisigal's tracker, and we see that she's alone at the movies. And at the same time, Blonde Blazer hits us with that "what you doing, you up" text. And we are officially presented with the decision, the most important in the entire game. Invisigal or Blonde Blazer? Obviously, I picked Invisigal.
Fuck you.
So we pull up on Homegirl with the popcorn and Sour Patch Kids, and it's raps.
Do you like Sour Patch Kids?
I fucking love Sour Patch Kids.
Ooh, and she got Elite snack taste too. Also, did Sour Patch pay them for that product placement? Or did they just do that for the love of the game? The next day in the break room, Prism and Malevola try to figure out which hero I used to be before I signed up for SDN. But I don't give them any hints to this because if Flambe finds out that I'm Mecha-Man, I'm fried. Literally and figuratively. At the end of Robert's shift, it's up to him to decide what to do with this Friday night. He worked his ass off to pay the rent, but he still can't pay it though. But he do got just enough to get up in this club and have him a good time before his time is up. Hey. So we end up sliding a local villain bar with the Z team to get lit. We even get Prism on Aux performing her music. Robert takes the opportunity to spit some game at Invisigal, but this twig arm dude rolls up on us and cockblocks us.
Who let a loser-ass bitch of a hero into our supervillain bar?
I don't know how he knows we're a hero, but he does. A bar fight ends up breaking out, and I ain't gonna lie with you, Robert can throw hands. Like, I was not familiar with this game. Like father, like son, I guess.
She temporarily blinded me!
Fuck you mean temporarily? Bitch, you blind forever!
This is probably my favorite line in the game, but also like, damn. Was Prism joking about that, or are these dudes actually just blind forever? So anyway, we pack up this whole bar and convene with the team outside, and the topic of Robert's superhero identity comes up once again. And we are presented with a choice. Be honest and tell them I'm Mecha-Man, or just dodge the question.
I'm Mecha-Man.
No fucking way.
including a Burning Man named Flambe, whom he puts in prison after a fight they have in a shopping complex. And this will definitely not come back to bite him in the future. Before Flambe has the chance to demolish us, Gollum saves our ass. Flambe flies away and doesn't show up for the next cycle, and that's the end of chapter 5. And if you're wondering what happens if you don't reveal it, Chase accidentally reveals his identity in the next chapter. At the end of the chapter, they give you little stats about the chapter, and somehow we only perform better than 10% of players. 90% of players did better than... Now, you may remember I said that Royd was helping us get the Mecha-Man suit back in operation. Well, after the relentless effort to replicate the original Astral Pulse created by Elliot Connors, Royd finally succeeds. We end up testing the new Astral Pulse by booting up the Mecha-Man suit, but unfortunately it doesn't work, and the suit blows up in our face, putting Robert in the ER. No matter how hard he tries, Royd just can't recreate Elliot's technology. But Invisigal realizes that she's seen that explosion before. A bunch of criminals throughout Torrance have been trying to harness the Pulse's power and just ended up blowing themselves up. She realizes that the Astral Pulse may actually be intact. So she invites Royd, Blonde Blazer, Chase, and the Z-Team to see if they can use their connections to track it down. And in the meantime, Blazer replaces Robert as the Z-Team dispatcher and fumbles the bag.
So, I'm no dispatch dude, but I don't know if sending him a level at a sub at Sunday school was the move.
Later that night, the Z-Team crashes Robert's apartment and throws a housewarming party. Together, they are able to nail down the location of the original Astral Pulse, which is being held by some criminals at a harbor. However, Blazer thinks it's too dangerous to go in without a plan, especially since the whole team is white girl wasted. But Invisigal decides to go in anyway by herself, and actually manages to get a hold of the Astral Pulse inside of the briefcase. Unbeknownst to Robert, she hides the pulse in her jacket. She goes to leave, but she gets sneak attacked by Shroud, who was hiding in the shadows, who uses a smoke bomb to trigger her asthma since he knows about her lung issues, and she starts suffocating to death. He takes the briefcase thinking that the pulse is inside and dips. But just when we thought Invisigal was cooked.
Keep up.
No!
Chase uses his powers to rush over and save her, basically forfeiting his own life. And Mecha-Man rushes to get him to the hospital. We managed to get him to the SDN ER, but God. Guys, I'm like trying to record this as there's like literally a party going on in my house right now. I'm hoping that the mic is not picking it up, but it's like getting louder and louder as more people show up. We do manage to get him to the SDN ER, but he's in critical condition, and it ain't looking good for him. Following this event, Invisigal gets suspended from the Phoenix program until further investigation. And the Z-Team demands that she be cut from the Phoenix program, especially because we cut Coop for way less. Now, even though I did agree that she should be cut from the team, I am just so ass at dispatching that I could not afford to lose another man, so I had to keep her on the team. Like, I was already worse than 90% of players in my previous shift, and Invisigal was one of my top players. I mean, if I lost her, forget about it. So I decided not to cut her. And I'm glad I did this because apparently she was secretly in the room listening the whole time. Honestly, I feel like with her track record, all the characters in this game should just automatically assume she's in a room. Robert follows her into the locker room where she is changing into another outfit. And this is where she admits to Robert her affiliation with Shroud and the Red Ring. And specifically, that she was the one who placed the bomb on us back in chapter 1.
It's you!
But it's hard to really hold this against her as she was kind of forced into doing this by Shroud anyway, so I gave her a pass. But she still decides to leave the Phoenix program because she doesn't want to be somewhere that she isn't wanted, which is yet another example of your choices not really mattering in this game. But before she leaves, she pushes Robert against the locker room and... Baby girl dips, and Robert heads over to the local bar to drown his sorrow in beer like a real man. But across the bar, Elliot Connors patiently waits and watches him from afar. It was pretty easy for him to track him down and follow him, seeing as he already knew Mecha-Man Astral's identity, so it probably wasn't hard for him to figure out that Robert was the new Mecha-Man. And for some reason, the bartender's talking shit about Trackstar because, I mean, why wouldn't he be? Everyone in this universe is an asshole, apparently. So naturally, Robert shows him what a beer glass feels like on the side of his face. But then Elliot slimes him out right in front of us. and reveals himself to Robert as Shroud. Technically speaking, these two have never run into each other, so it makes sense that Robert wouldn't recognize him. I mean, let alone the fact that this guy tried to kill him when he was a literal child. So yeah, it turns out this whole bar is a Red Ring hideout, and Robert walked right into it. On top of that, Coop switched up on us and is now working for the Red Ring. Unlike Robert, Shroud still remembers everything, and he tells Robert in detail about how he murdered his father.
This was your father's gun. Kept it in his locker, fully loaded. 6 shots. He couldn't have predicted I'd use it to kill him. The first bullet grazed his shoulder. I hadn't adjusted to the adrenaline spike. The second hit his upper chest. The third burst his heart. He was lying on the floor, eyes full of fear, when I put the fourth through his face.
That is not correct.
Yeah, bro was just straight capping his ass off. Probably because the real answer of what happened is a lot more embarrassing and emasculating than he was ready to admit to Robert. Like, we know that Shroud only actually fired 1 bullet and then immediately fled the scene. And on top of that, Mecha-Man didn't even piss his pants or like any of that other crazy stuff he was saying. That was just straight slander that he was probably saying to piss off Robert.
You tripping, bro.
I think this also goes to show just how much Shroud hates Robbie. This is just one instance of Shroud lying to manipulate situations, but this happens all the time in the game, and we'll talk about another example later. But the reason that Shroud kidnapped Robert was because the briefcase that he took from Invisigal was empty. So he thought that Vizzy would have given it to Robert. Remember, she hid the pulse in her jacket, which means she still has the Astral Pulse on her. Now, the reason that she didn't give it to Robert is because she knew that Shroud was gonna come after him once he realized that he didn't have the pulse. Not really sure why she thought this was the move over like, I don't know, just warning us that Shroud is coming, but I digress. Before Shroud can kill Robert though, Blazer comes in with the clutch and saves us.
I can see I'm outnumbered. That eventually I would fall. But by my read, I'm taking a lot of you with me. So all of you can leave now. Or half of you can die here.
Low-key one of the toughest moments in the entire game. I ain't gonna hold you. Blazer got that. Now, right after this, the Red Ring starts blowing up the city and launching out an all-out attack on Los Angeles. So, it's time.
Avengers!
Assemble.
I have been building up the Z-Team stats, brick by brick. So this is like the NBA championship. And the Z team by this point is like the 96 Bulls. And since we never officially cut Invisigal, she rejoins the team to help out. And thank God, Lord knows we need the help. So I guess our decision not to cut her actually did end up making a difference in the playthrough. Although it'd be nice if this bitch could cough up the Astral Pulse, but I mean, we don't have to focus on that right now. Soon, the Red Ring infiltrates the building, so we gotta hop off the desk and hide out in Royd's lab. Royd catches Invisigal in the lab and grabs her up because he found out the Astral Pulse is in her possession. So he thinks that she's for the streets. I mean, I don't blame him. From the outside looking in, this is mad suspicious. But we know that Vizzy was only trying to prevent the Pulse from ending up in Shroud's hands. You know what? Come to think of it, why can't Shroud just make another Astral Pulse? I mean, he invented the original one. Why can't he just do that again?
I guess we'll never know.
Anyway, we take the Astral Pulse back, and Mecha-Man is back, motherfuckers. But unfortunately, Shroud spins the block with a mech suit of his very own. It turns out when Elliot gave Robbie the Astral Pulse back in the 90s, he didn't just want to be part of the Brave Brigade. He wanted Robbie to help build him a mech suit of his very own, which he of course never got since he never made the team. So I guess he just built his own since he already knew the suit inside and out. And his mech is a little bit bigger than ours. Bro is definitely compensating for something. And if that wasn't bad enough, we gotta pack up Coop as well. Now, luckily, the Z team is able to work together and put up a generational fade against Coop and Shroud, taking them down for good. And just when I thought it was over, this man somehow managed to get a hold of Beef. I don't know how he got a hold of Robert's dog when he landed on the roof and my dog was in the building, but I mean, we need some third act tension, I guess. And this man has literally zero morals whatsoever. So he threatens to slime my dog if I don't hand over the Astral Pulse. Shroud also tries to act like Invisigal was working for him the whole time. And this part really confused me at first. And it still kind of confuses me, to be honest. Because if Vizzy was actually working for Shroud, she would have just given him the Astral Pulse already. So I think this moment is just another blatant lie on Shroud's part. It's possible he didn't realize that Vizzy had already confessed to Robert about her affiliation with the Red Ring, and Vizzy just went along with it to get the upper hand. At least that's my guess. Regardless, he holds Beef hostage and demands the Pulse. But I still have that shitty prototype that Royd made, which means I have the real Pulse and the fake one.
What the fuck is this, Robert?
You said you wanted the Astropulse. I gave it to you. One of those is it.
They look fucking identical, Robert.
Look.
Fuck you. Every permutation.
Uh-oh.
Buddy took to 50-50, and lucky for us, he chose wrong. And as one does when losing a fight, he pulls out the strap.
Get down, Mr. President!
And Invisigal takes a bullet for us. Shit, Blonde Blazer could never. Just saying. And this scene is really interesting to me because it almost perfectly mirrors the exact same way that Robert's dad was killed by Shroud, with a single bullet to the chest. Shroud even stands in the exact same position that he did 20 years ago. Not only that, but this is the exact gun that Shroud used to kill Robbie. Narratively, this scene is fascinating to me because it really highlights the difference between Robert and his dad. Robert says earlier in the game that every Mecha Man dies in the suit.
The family tradition, if there is one, is dying in that suit.
And for a second, it looks like he's about to prove that theory right. And he probably would have died if Invisigal didn't take the bullet for us. And to me, this is the perfect conclusion to Robert's arc. Even though his father was a hero who protected innocent people, he was also an egotistical asshole who pushed away everyone in his life, including his own son. And I feel like it's kind of implied that his grandfather Bobby did the same thing. And Robert begins the story in a very similar place. He pushes away the one friend he had in Chase, and is pretty much a loner, only having the Mecha Man suit. He's basically on his Spider-Man Brand New Day arc. He was slowly becoming his father, but through working at SDN, he found a new purpose outside of the suit, through his relationship with the Z team. So in this final moment, Robert didn't break the family curse of dying in the suit. He broke the curse of being an isolated asshole by becoming compassionate and developing deep relationships with others, which is why Invisigal saves him. Now this is obviously just one ending to the game, but just based on how much narrative weight this particular ending has, it feels like the most important one. And this is what I meant when I said at the beginning of the video that the comics are super important to the story of this game, and I'm honestly surprised that they didn't focus on the lore more. If you are wondering what happens in the other endings though, it pretty much depends entirely on if you gave Invisigal a second chance. If you did give her a second chance, she'll take the bullet for you. If not, she'll kill Shroud herself and then go rogue. Once Beef and Vizzy are safe, it's time for Robert to enact his revenge on his father's killer. And we start literally choking this man out. And he has the audacity to say, okay, let me get this straight. You shot my girl, murdered my father, put lies on his name and told me about it, and you threatened my dog? And now you talking about some pleas? Nah, son, it's over. You getting murked.
Help me! Help me!
How do I say goodbye?
After canceling Shroud's life subscription, we link back up with Invisible Fine Shit as the sun sets. Oh, also, I forgot to mention that Blonde Blazer gave her amulet to Chase so he could recover until they figure out a more permanent solution. So yeah, that happens. Blazer's just a normal civilian now and Chase can fly. I probably should have talked about that earlier, but this storyline was honestly like so thrown in last minute I forgot about it, not gonna lie. Coop also ends up going to prison, and for some reason the game didn't give me the option to redeem her, even though I've seen that happen in other playthroughs. But I mean, whatever, I wasn't losing sleep over it. She switched up on me. But with that, the game is pretty much wrapped up, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the complete lore of Dispatch. All right, that's done. Just gotta upload this footage. Hello?
Yo, open up. It's Gollum. I'm here for my fade. Mozilla, open up. I know you in here. Oh, we quiet now. That's real interesting. That's real interesting. Cause you was talking crazy earlier. Now I'm at your door. It's different, huh? That's interesting. That's interesting. You know, I'm a supervillain, so I know how to pick locks.
Gollum, I was just playing.
I knew you was just playing.
Gollum, chill. Hey, back up.